What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another panel show. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And we have got a star-studded panel today. A returning guest, Amir, with his fresh fade. Looking very fresh, Amir. How are you doing today, brother?
Afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you all. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing really well, Ben. You know, coming off a victory, feeling good. Werner's first goal. You know, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great, man. So yeah,
I'm getting good vibes. I'm getting good vibes from you today, Amir. I'm getting good vibes.
Yeah, definitely. After a win, I'm always positive. Always positive.
And we've got a debutante on the panel today. She's just the girl who loves Spurs. Kate, we shared the screen once on Tottenham on Tour with Brian Daigle. Good to have you here. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm delighted to be here. I feel a little bit starstruck. You're like the legends of the Tottenham YouTube community. So thank you very much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to the show.
Loving that. What's that cockerel behind you? It's looks really good.
Look at that.
Yes.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That
and
really
for
is beautiful
as well. Same
Oh, you got to have Big Vic on the wall. What you do if you don't have Big Vic on your wall?
Cool.
But we've got a lot of things to talk about today. We are going to go back in time and talk about the Palace game first and foremost. We'll start off with you, Kate. Do you think that Palace game was an improvement from prior displays and the form that we've been on?
I'd love to sit here and say yeah, but no, not really. I thought the 75 minutes were diabolical for the most part. Some good movement from Timo Werner. I know he missed the one-on-one with the keeper, which had me pulling my hair out at the time, but he did do some good movement, which was good to see. Brennan Johnson came off the bench, thought he was brilliant when he came on. We saw that he can take on a man, made all the difference when he came on the pitch, but overall, the performance I thought was massively disappointing. The only good thing to take from it really is the heart that we've got in the team, where we don't capitulate and roll over and say, that's it, game over. We fought till the end and we got a victory. So in that respect, we've got to be happy. But yeah, the performance for me was still lackluster for the most part, unfortunately.
I mean, I did think it was an improvement, in my opinion. I feel like it's the game that we kind of controlled for 90 minutes, where maybe we haven't done in previous weeks. But I agree with you in terms of we didn't create enough during those 70 minutes. That's definitely true. But in terms of you, Amir, what's your thoughts?
I'd have to wholeheartedly disagree with Kate there. I think there's a lot of positive signs to take from that game. And you know, in actual fact, I think we created, if you're looking back at some of the other games that we've had, we created a lot more here than we did in those games, which, you know, we had some big chances. You're looking at Werner. You're looking at Johnson's one that he missed. That's another huge one.
Sonny as well hit the post. Yeah,
Sonny hitting the post. Yeah, exactly. So for me, we're not quite there yet, and I understand, Kate, your frustration in you know, some of what I call the horseshoe football that was going on in that first half, which I don't like to see, and I think which unfortunately I'm going to mention them, but those lot across the road kind of showed us how to do it the other night, didn't they? Really. And you know, when you're seeing performances like that, I can understand when we're looking at the differences that there are there between, you know, those top three sides to how we're performing. There is a gap there, right? But I think we're showing good signs of improvement. I'm happy with the result at the end of the day, and I think, you know, whenever you go a goal back, you're looking for a response, and you know, to get three. And to actually relax for the last 5 minutes of a game, it's kind of like beautiful. Really.
Yeah. I mean, do you think the narrative changes on that game if maybe we got those 3 goals in the first 10 minutes instead of like the last 20 minutes kind of thing?
Yeah, it's possible. It could be a different game as well. You know, you might have seen Spurs then put them to the sword. But you know, Timo missed his chance, and that's another, you know, huge positive. He didn't let that get his head down, did he? And he got on the score sheet, got his first goal for Spurs. And Kate, like you mentioned, I thought Johnson, right? That kid, he deserves the world of praise. The world of praise. That pressing, you know, the way he found Werner as well, I think fantastic. And you know, you're looking at the kid, and you're saying, does he have the mentality for it? Can he make the step up from Forest? And to come and miss that chance that he did, I was fuming, right? That to me, needs to be in the back of the net every day of the week. And he missed it. And then to come back and do what he did, phenomenal. So a lot of positives to take from the Palace performance. And I'm happy with the 3 points at the end of the day.
I think, what you're saying on Timo, I think Timo had a really good game, probably his best game in a Spurs shirt throughout the 90 minutes. Even if you take that miss out of it, he did look like the most dangerous out of the front three in that first half as well. But I think, sometimes his final product can be much to be desired for, let's just put it that way. But Sim, what was your take on the game? Do you think it was improvement?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. I did think... in terms of just to answer the question directly, yes, it was an improvement, I thought, in general from the game against Wolves last time out. And maybe in terms of just in general some of our home performances, I did think it was an improvement in terms of our general control of the game. You look back to games against Brentford, against Wolves, what other home games we had against Brighton. You just look at the chances we conceded in those games, where it was nowhere near the level of chances conceded in this game. So albeit you have to caveat that by saying we're playing against Palace, who only really had Eze, who could only last 65 minutes. Other than that, they didn't really have any other threats. Whereas you look at Wolves and Brighton and Brentford, they've got a lot more in their armoury at the moment in the forward line. So maybe it's no surprise we struggled more to contain those teams than we did Palace. But the reality is we did contain Palace a lot more easily than we did those teams. So that is a step in the right direction when it comes to how we were defending. But I do think the first half was disappointing. I do think that we struggled badly for the first 45 minutes. We literally had one chance. We had one chance with Werner, and then we had a good build-up play where Emerson got on the right-hand side, played the ball across the face of goal, and Son couldn't quite tap it home. Apart from that, we literally barely had an attempt. On the flip side, neither did Palace, but when we're on the front foot, especially in the first half, where we should really be coming out, forcing the issue and trying to at least take a few shots and trying to ask different questions of Palace, I thought we didn't ask enough questions of them, and it was way too easy for Palace to contain us in that first half. But I do think, in general, the whole second half was really good. I actually thought Palace scored against run of play. We created a few chances before Palace scored their goal. Sonny hit the post. I think Werner had a good chance as well, which forced a save out of Johnston. And then when Palace scored, it really was against run of play. But considering how difficult it had been before Palace scored for us to break them down, I was definitely concerned because we hadn't really created too many glaring opportunities throughout the game. And now we've got to get 2 goals and not just 1 goal. And, you start to get worried. And as well, the goal as well, looking at the free kick, it was a disappointing goal all round. I thought, obviously, Bentancur brought Eze down when he was gaining some momentum. And then, obviously, the free kick... It was a great free kick, don't get me wrong, but I do think Vicario read the situation wrong. I thought it was really obvious that that the free kick was on goalkeeper's side, considering the wall that Palace put up. They put the ball up to block Vicario's views. And Vicario should really have taken that as a signal. Eze's probably going to shoot this my side. And he didn't quite cotton on to that. And he took one step to the right, and that was enough for Eze just to find the corner on his side. So that was a bit disappointing. But the way we responded to the goal was really, really positive. Obviously, Johnson came on, has one big chance, plays over the bar, and then obviously we end up getting 3 goals right at the end and taking 3 points. So I thought that second half was probably the best we've played consistently for a whole half in a while. But I thought the first half still not a massive improvement for how we've played recently in terms of just struggling to break the opposition down, not creating enough chances. So I'm a bit in between. I thought it was an improvement. I don't think it was a massive improvement, but I definitely think it was a step in the right direction.
You know what it was for me? I've just seen Spurs just be so open at the back, week in, week out, no matter who it's against. We went to, me and you, Amir, we went up to Goodison together, didn't we? And we just came under pressure in so many periods of that game, whether it be set pieces or counter-attacks or whatever.
We looked like conceding.
Every time they came forward, Everton, we looked like conceding 100%. And I felt like in this game, Mickey van der Ven and Coutinho Romero are so strong at the back. Emerson came in, did a really good job for us at right back in terms of defensive performance. Udogie, nothing got past him on the day. But I think what the real difference in terms from a defensive display it was for me was Yves Bissouma. Because I feel like Yves Bissouma had his best game probably since the first 10 games of the season for me. And it's no surprise to me that he has a good game and we completely dominated that midfield, and probably the best game in terms of dominating a midfield in a long time. So I've been saying it for a while. We need Yves Bissouma to get back to these levels on a consistent basis. And I felt like nothing got past him the whole day. He dominated that midfield. And in the second half, he became that driving force to drive us forward through the midfield as well. So that's what was really good for me. And yes, we didn't create enough in the first half, but that did come in the second half. And that's going to happen against a team that sits a low block, a bank of 5 at the back, in front of them a bank of 4. So it's going to take a bit of patience sometimes to break down these teams, and I think that's what we did. We showed that patience, and we broke that wall down finally. So I mean, I don't know how you're feeling, Kate, about that defensive display, because we haven't seen anything like that for a while, because every single team that we play against, we seem to just be so open at the back. One ball down the middle seems to open us up, but that didn't happen on the weekend.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I thought Emerson Royale, actually, I mean, he's not my favourite player by a long shot, but I thought he did very well when he was called upon. Van der Ven is just an absolute Rolls Royce for me. He's probably one of the greatest signings we've made at the club for years and years. I just think he is incredible. And I thought Romero looked calm. I mean, he hasn't had a booking in 2024, which is a good thing. And yeah, I had full faith in the back 4 at the weekend, which I haven't had of recent. So yeah, in that respect, that was a massive positive, but let's hope it continues.
Amir, do you think that was a really good display from like the defensive players, or do you think that just Palace just didn't offer much, and maybe I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself?
No, I don't think you're getting ahead of yourself, but for it to be nailed on, you need to see consistency there, and that's what we haven't seen. It was a big improvement for sure, and obviously, having Udogie back, it's a huge difference. And Royale coming in, he stepped up, he done well defensively, and I think his awareness for the throw-in as well for the second goal was phenomenal, right? That's basically like. They call it the pre-assist, so that was really clever as well. There are many, many positives to take. I completely agree with you, Kate, on VDV. I think we've got a world-class player in the making there. Romero, absolutely fantastic. They just got to show it week in, week out. And Ben, I have to agree with you about Bissouma, right? You're looking at that position and how important it is in modern day football. The best teams in the world that have gone on to win huge things, they've had the best of the best in those positions. Your likes of Rodri, Busquets, those kind of guys that sit there and break up the play. So if Yves can step up for the rest of the season and really come into his own in that position and put his foot down on that position and say, that's mine, no one's taking me out of there, I think it will be fantastic for the club, and we'll all benefit from it, and the defence will benefit from that hugely. So looking forward to seeing how it goes for Yves, and I'm glad to see him getting back to form.
Yeah, because we haven't seen this from him in a while. His confidence took a real knock, didn't it, when he got those sendings off? And
it was so silly.
It was so silly. It was so silly. But, once you make an action that's detrimental to the team, those 2 sendings off, that mistake at Manchester City, you need to respond with good form. Otherwise, what he's done since then has been nothing short of shocking, to be honest. But it's good to see him. I thought it was a slight improvement last game, but this game he was back at it. Still maybe not to those levels that we saw in those first 10 games of the season, but definitely a step in the right direction is what I would say. But let's go on to the next topic of the panel. We're going to talk about why Spurs start so slowly, particularly at home. And as much as I've been harping on about it was a good performance on the weekend, again, it was another slow start for Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Why do you think that is, Kate? Why do we start so slow? The trumpet comes out, when the Spurs, the fans get going, and then it's just a bit of a drab start. A lot of times recently.
We haven't scored in a first half at home for 6 games.
6 games, yeah. It's a long time, Kate. Why do you think that is?
I'd love to know the answer, as I'm sure Ange Postecoglou would, because I've been racking my brains trying to work it out, but I haven't got an answer for it. I don't want to say it's lack of confidence, because I don't see why it would be. The fans are up for it. You hear the fans, it should be enough to lift them. I don't know what the answer is. And I'm sure if I did, And if Ange did, they'd sort it out. But I honestly, I've no idea. I mean, it expands back to Conte as well. We was the second half FC, and it seems to be carrying over. And I just don't understand it. I expect us to come flying out the traps, and every game it's the same. So as much as I'd love to give you a really in-depth answer as to why I think it is, I've absolutely no idea.
Your guess is as good as mine, Kate. Don't worry about it. Amir, do you have any insight for us why we start so slow?
Put Scooby-Doo on the case, because there's a mystery in town. You know what I mean? I can't figure it out either. I honestly, it's one of those things that it's, you know, you try and rack your brain and come up with reasons. Is it nerves? Is it lack of confidence? Is it that they don't quite know the Ange ball yet? Is it the players coming in and out? And you don't know. It's a guessing game. It's really, you know, take your pick. But what it comes down to for me, right, is eventually we've got, what, 12 games to go, is it? Something like
Around
that?
about, I think we're on, what, 27, I think we're at? So about 11 games to go.
Okay. 11 games to go, right?
No, we're on 26, sorry.
Oh, yeah, 12 games to go, Amir.
Okay, so 12 games to go, right? You're looking, in those 12 games, if I was Ange, I'd be saying, lads, let's just get one in the first 15, 20 minutes, get the ball rolling early and push on from there. You know, let's make it, you know, put it down as a goal to let's get on the score sheet as early as possible and see where we can, you know, go and put a team to bed. You know, teams like Luton coming up, you know, teams like that, you're looking to really try and put a stamp of authority, you know, and show where we are, you know, the same way the other teams are doing. So I'd love to see that. Why? Yeah, take your pick of reasons. It's very hard to say.
It is strange, isn't it? Because, like, sometimes in these games where we've been starting slow, in the first, like, 5 minutes, I would say, we actually look really good. And I'll be sitting there in a stadium looking to, oh, look, we've come out the traps really fast today. And then suddenly we just revert back into our shell. And for the rest of the half, we just look so lackluster. It's very hard to put your finger on what the actual reason is, but Sim, my brother's a student of the game. Maybe he can tell us.
Well, the odd thing is this run of games at home. So we've not scored in the first half for 6 games in a row at home, but that's followed a run of we've taken the lead in the 7 games before that. And all in the first half. So the script is completely flipped, where before we went for a run where we kept scoring early and then giving up the game and losing. And now we seem to be struggling in the first half. We seem to concede the first goal, and we seem to be able to turn it around. So it's a really strange kind of phenomenon why we haven't been able to score in the first half and why we're struggling to break teams down. I think Maddison, in an interview after the game, actually was talking about it, and he was alluding to the fact that, look, these teams come and they try to stop us playing their football, and they're chasing the ball a lot, and when they start those games, they got a lot of energy, but the way we force these teams to defend, it takes a lot out of them, and it's very tiring. And it takes a lot of energy out of these teams. And that's why late in the game, as much as they can defend in this way for, 60, 70 minutes, by the time we get to the last 15 minutes or so, they are starting to tire, not just physically, but mentally as well, having to track all these runners, see where we'll follow the rotations. And it gets too much at the end. And that's why they're being made to pay late in the day. I also think if you look at the fixtures we've had in these last kind of 6 games, a lot of them are against teams who do play a back 5. Brentford, Brighton played a back 5, I believe. Wolves played a back 5. You got Palace now who played a back 5 as well in that. So there's a lot of teams there who definitely like to play counter-attacking football, like to soak up pressure, like to be very compact with a lot of defenders, and almost like a back 5 as well. So it's a lot more difficult to kind of break through those kind of elements, and maybe it takes time, it takes patience to do that. So I do think how Ange sets up his team is the goal is to come flying up the traps, unsettle the opposition early on, and try and get a goal early to kind of insert yourself in the game and ruin the opposition's game plan. In recent weeks, that we haven't been able to do that for one reason or another, whether it be missing crucial chances early on or just haven't been clinical enough in those early points of the game to really break the deadlock. But what I would say is, before this run of games, I think we were far top of the league for goals inside the first 15 minutes. So that is something we did have in our locker very early on. But for some reason, recently, that has abandoned us a bit, and we need to get back to that. Maybe it's just a case of I don't know, maybe having Sonny in there in the number 9 will make us more fluid and give us opportunities to score early on. It's tough to put your finger on why it is, but it's an interesting phenomenon to point your finger on why it's changed so much from earlier in the season.
But I mean, that period that you're talking about, we had our first choice 11 week in, week out, those first 10 games of the season, right? And ever since then, our team's got completely diminished. And yes, players have come back, like James Maddison, Rodrigo Bentancur, Bissouma, everyone's come back from the international tournaments, but they haven't put in their best displays as of yet. I mean, Maddison's been okay, but he hasn't been the Maddison of the first 10 games of the season. So maybe it's just us feeling our way back from those injuries.
But it's not just that, because I'm looking at the period where we had those injuries. We lost 5 in a row, or we lost 4 and drew 1. In every single one of those games, we took the lead early on. So it's really difficult to put your finger on why at the moment we're struggling so much early on, whereas before that was what our biggest strength was early on in the game.
But maybe in those first 5 games we were running on momentum a little bit after a really good start to the season, and then it kind of just reverted back to what these players' types actually are.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it would seem to be quite... I mean, I'm looking at the run of fixtures, and literally after that Chelsea game, even that Chelsea game we took the lead early as well, we pretty much took the lead early in like every single one of those games up until the new year. Literally up until the new year, that's been the kind of the sticking point. Since the new year, we've only scored in the first half against Everton and Man United. Those are the only 2 games we scored in the first half against. So, and those are both away from home. Before that, we pretty much in every game I can see. Before that, we've scored in the first half. So, it's really difficult to know what has changed or why that is.
Do you think maybe, Kate, it's a case of teams working out the way we like to play, the way we like to come out the blocks really fast, and maybe teams making it specifically extremely tight and extremely hard for us to score early in games?
Yeah, I think that's quite possible. At the end of the day, Ange is very set in how he plays, and I think teams are realising that we're going to come out all guns blazing, and they try and contain us early on and be extra tight. But it's frustrating because I expect us to be able to get round those things. But at the end of the day, it's the start of a project. It's only a few months that Ange has been in charge, and they've got to learn this system. So it's something that next season, hopefully, we'll see more sort of the team being able to cope with a low block, and these teams kind of sussing us out. I hate that term, sussing us out, but hopefully once they've sort of got this system down to a T, maybe with some new personnel as well, and everybody's firing on the same from the same gun, and the fitness levels as well. I'm still not convinced that they're all up to this fitness levels that they need to be to play Ange ball. As you've only got to watch Celtic to see how intense it can be. So all these factors, like I say, it is just the start of a project. We've got to be a little bit patient, I think, before it all clicks into place.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Amir? We need to be a bit patient, because there is a case to say, like, when Ange came to the Premier League, it was a brand new manager. They had to work out the way he plays, and then once they do work out, teams got to keep evolving, don't they?
They do keep evolving, and I think what you mentioned there, Kate. I think one is key to solving some of our issues is the new additions to the squad. Ange has got now his summer window coming up, and you're looking for certain types of players that will fit that squad perfectly and come into the team and really offer something different. And
you ain't going to mention Kavicha, are you, again?
No, I'm not. I wasn't even going to mention him today. I mean, he did score a phenomenal goal this weekend against Juventus. But no, it's that type of player, though, that gets you off your feet. You don't know whether he's going left or right. You don't know whether he's going to shoot a pass or put it in the top bins. So, I think we will see Ange ball improving as those new additions come in. But I do think that, the way he's... What's more important than Ange ball at this second and where we're at in terms of getting there, I think the most important thing that Ange has done is unified the club. So when you're looking at what he's done on a club level, the under-21s, the 18s, the style of football, the connection between the fans and the club again, and the players, And even the bond between those players, did you see all the players come off and celebrate together? It's phenomenal. So we've really got to take our hat off to Ange and give him that bit of patience, give him that support. It's fine to criticize and if you think he's made a decision wrong here or there on a sub to see what can be done there. But overall, he's been phenomenal. And I think you just got to give him that time to get Ange Ball to where he wants, get the machine purring to the level that we want to see, which is putting teams like Palace to bed 5-6-0, right? We'd love to see that. And I think we will get there. These last 12 games, I think there will hopefully be a few drubbings in there. I think the few sides should be very worried about coming up against us, to be honest with you.
And I think it's also a big testament to Ange just where we're at as a football club right now, because, the start of the season, Harry Kane going, everyone was saying Spurs are going to finish mid-table, Champions League is a pipe dream, Europa League even is a stretch for Tottenham Hotspur this season. For us to be where we're at this stage of the season and have a real fighting chance of making Champions League for next season, I think is only a testament to where Ange has put us right now, to be honest.
Yep. Fully agree.
But let's go. Just before we actually go to the next panel, we've got a couple of super chats to read out. First, about a member's chat from KPV, member for 25 months, says, "Big up, lads. Hope all is good on Sunday. Romero will target Cash and Cash will get sent off, boys." It'll be nice to see Cash eat a bit of his own medicine on the weekend. And a comment from Jim, just the guy who loves Spurs. Is that your other half?
It's my husband.
Big up.
Says Ben Sim, about time you had a pretty face on, Kate, with an X. So yeah, good to have you on, Kate. That's for sure. But let's move on to the next topic of the panel. And we're going to talk about Richarlison. We had a bit of a ding-dong on the WhatsApp last night, didn't we, Amir, about Richarlison? Danny weren't happy with all the Richarlison praise that was coming.
It was going off. It was like it stopped for a little bit. The flames went down for a few hours and then it all went off again.
This topic was made because we thought Danny was going to be on the show, but unfortunately we don't have Danny on the show, but I'm sure we can talk a lot about it.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have Danny on another day and we're going to have it out with him, but we're going to start 100%. We're going to start off with you, Kate. Richarlison been on unbelievable form since he's had that surgery. He did come out the team, and it was kind of Spurs' best team display probably since he has been out. Do you feel like with Richarlison back fit now, he comes straight back in for the Villa game?
I'm assuming Danny Kiriakou isn't a Richarlison fan. Is that right?
You could, that's to put it lightly.
Well, I'm on the same boat as Danny Kiriakou because I'm not a Richarlison fan either. I think for me, I would love to sell him in the summer, get Saudi to give us some money back and get rid of him. He's just not got it for me. I appreciate everyone keeps telling me that he scored these many goals in these many games, and that's great. But for me, form is temporary, class is permanent, and he hasn't got the class for me. You've only got to watch him at Everton and Watford. He's never delivered more than 13 goals. I think it is his best tally. Just not good enough for me at all to be in this team. And I know I get so much abuse for it because my husband, for one, is a massive Richarlison fan. And yes, he does work his socks off. And yes, he does try hard. And yes, he has got the heart of a lion. But I want my striker to score goals. And for me, he doesn't do that enough. So does he walk back in? Not for me. He doesn't. I don't rate him enough. I'm sorry. I'm going to be an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. But I just don't rate him.
Kate, you say you want your striker to score more goals. I mean, he's only 3 goals behind Sonny in less minutes.
Yes, I know, but he misses far more than he scores for me. He has so many chances and he fluffs them. I find him incredibly frustrating to watch. And yes, he is a confidence player, and that's why I think he's had that run of goal scoring. But if he goes 2-3 games without a goal, we're going to have another drought probably for another 10 games. I don't know. He just doesn't cut the mustard for me. For me, he's perfect for a team like Everton, but not for a team like Spurs.
So what do you put his good form down to?
confidence. I do think he is a confidence player. So he scored, and his spirits get lifted, and the team, and people are all, he's doing his silly pigeon dance all over the pitch, and he's getting
you got to love the pigeon.
I don't even like it.
He's got it in for pigeons too, as well as Danny.
I don't. Do you know what? That was my nickname at school as well, because people.
We need to call the RSPCA, man. All these people hate pigeons.
For me, pigeons are rats with wings. So Richarlison for me, being called the pigeon, I've got high standards for my football club, and Harry Kane was a generational talent, and you cannot replace him. I appreciate that, but the step down from Harry Kane to Richarlison for me is too great.
Do you think the problem that Richarlison has, Amir, is Harry Kane? Because Harry Kane obviously set the bar so high that you're never going to get another Harry Kane. And Richarlison, if you're going to compare Richarlison to Harry Kane, he's always going to come out, on the bottom.
That's exactly where I was going with this. I think, any striker coming into those boots, you just can't do it. It's impossible. Harry Kane is a once-in-a-generation player. You can't do that. Let's just try and play a little situation here, right? If we were in the days of where we had, say, Soldado up top and Richie came in those times and done what he did now, I think everyone would be singing a little bit of a different tune. I do hear some of Kate's frustrations, and I get where people are coming from on a certain level with certain aspects of his play that he needs to work on, i.e. first touch, that needs improving, and the pace of which he moves the ball. But in terms of goals, in terms of a striker, I think he's got all the attributes to really kick on. What I saw up at Goodison Park when we went up there, Ben, was 2 goals of the top draw. Really good finishes. And I think part of the reason he hasn't scored as many as he's scored is the lack of service. If you had a player like just, for example, a KDB feeding a Haaland, right? I think Richie would get 10 more goals than he's got at the moment. In many of the games that he hasn't scored, I think he becomes a little bit of a scapegoat. Richie hasn't scored. Oh, he wasn't good. Oh, he misplaced a pass. Every player misplaces a pass in the game. Yeah, it happens. And with the misses, Kate, Bournemouth, shocking miss. A few of the other ones, I can remember a few headers that he's missed, shocking misses.
I think there was a couple at Luton as well, weren't there?
Luton, there was Luton as well. There are some bad ones, but if you look at all the top strikers going out throughout the history, all the best attacking players, they will have a few howlers in there. The sign of a top player is the one that can get rid of that miss in his mind straight away, 2 seconds, and the next one that comes 5 minutes later, he buries. And that's what Kane was brilliant at. And I'm hoping that Richie can develop that, and be a little bit more clinical. I can see that he's got all the attributes to get there in terms of your hard work, your passion for the club, your passion for the game. He's got all that. So in terms of those attributes, I think he only needs to work on a few aspects of his game and learn the system a little bit more. And once Ange Ball is really purring, there's no reason he can't get 20 odd goals a season, if not more. I truly believe that. And I just hope he gets the chance to show what he can do a little bit more than what he's got, because he's had his problems, right? His injuries, his mental health. He's had his problems.
Yeah, he has had his problems, and I think since he's put those to bed, I think he's been a completely different player. You've seen the movement on the pitch is a lot more free. I like what he's bringing to the team. He's scoring consistent goals now since that surgery. We were talking about Danny about, he only scores against the terrible teams in the league. I mean, if you're saying that, then basically the only teams that you're going to consider any good is Manchester City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. And he did score against Liverpool last season. He scored against Manchester United. He scored against Newcastle 2 goals this season. He scored in Europe last season. So I think Richarlison needs to be getting more credit, to be honest, than what he's getting. And look, if you're going to compare it to Harry Kane, if you're going to compare it to Heung-min Son, then obviously he's not going to cut it. But not every player that we can have is going to be as good as Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. These two are world-class talents at the end of the day. And I think Richarlison is doing his job for the team. I wouldn't sell him in the summer, in my opinion. But having said that, I wouldn't put him back into the team for the Aston Villa game, to be honest, because I think that Heung-min Son is going to be so vital in that Villa game with their high line. We need Sonny central in that pitch to get those balls over the top to him, and maybe Maddison to feed him through the central areas of the pitch. But that doesn't mean that I don't like Richarlison, and that doesn't mean that there aren't games that are going to be more suited to Richarlison playing as the number 9 than Heung-min Son. I think that's what the beauty of having two different kind of strikers are in the number 9 position for rotation. Sonny, the problem that we have, Sonny is our best left winger and he's our best striker. That's just the nature of who he is and the quality of the man. But I don't like all the shade that gets thrown on Richarlison on a consistent basis, because yes, he does miss chances, and yes, when he's bad, he is bloody bad. He really is, and he frustrates the life out of probably every Spurs fan when he's bad. But I do think he's got attributes that suit this team really well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, although what I would say is, to be fair to Kate and Richarlison haters, since he signed for Tottenham, how long has he been at Tottenham now? It's coming up on 20 months, right?
Yeah, this is the last quarter of his second season.
Right. So, and we've seen what, 1-2 months of good form out of those 20 months. So that is a fair point. And when we're looking at last season, I don't think we were criticising him, just comparing him to Kane and Son. We were criticising him because he was absolutely rubbish. And that was true. And also the first 3 games of this season, first quarter of this season, I think it's fair to say, up until December.
Till we have the surgery, which he clearly needed.
Probably till the Sheffield United game, I would say. He was absolutely rubbish. And then that Sheffield United game happened, he got the goal, and then he went into some good form and he started playing well again. So, I think it's been more bad than good at Tottenham so far, although that seems to be changing. But
there have been circumstances behind the bad form, though.
Yeah, I mean, circumstances around everything. I mean, I don't know how long he's been carrying that injury for. I don't know how long he's had those mental health problems.
Sonny wasn't exactly great last season as well.
No, he wasn't great last season. He still got 10 Premier League goals. Richarlison got 1. So I think these are all things to consider. But what I would say is right now, he's in a really rich vein of form. You got to remember as well, not only is he in good form, but he really stepped up when we needed him. Like, without Son in the team, who's going to get the goals? And he really stepped up in that time of need and got us the goals we needed to just keep us getting over the line with a lot of results. And he's actually improved his finishing massively. His finishing's been, I think he's now outperforming his expected goals, which is really, really impressive. I think he's 10 goals and 3 assists now this season, which is, with the amount of minutes he's played, it's really, really impressive. And as Amir is saying, those 2 finishes at Everton are really showing that he's starting to really improve that ability to finish. And as well, he has this tendency of scoring goals with just 1 touch, which is a really rare skill, which is especially when you're playing against low blocks, is really important, because you're not going to get a lot of time in the penalty box. And if you can just finish it with 1 touch, 1 finish, that's a really important skill. But when the problem is, when we're comparing him to Kane, it's not just Kane anymore. You're comparing him to Son, and Son doesn't miss. Son has missed 3 chances this season, 3 big chances, and considering the amount of goals he scored, which is 13, the fact that he's only missed 3 chances on top of that means that literally he's had 16 chances and scored 13 of them, which is ridiculous to think about. That's how clinical Sonny is. And
which
then
you call a freak of nature.
Yeah, and when you're comparing that to Richarlison, he's just nowhere near that as clinical as Sonny. And so that is the reality of when we're deciding who should be playing in the forward line, who should be starting in their number 9. For me, I think Son's our best striker. I think Son's best position is a striker at the moment. I was really impressed with Sonny on the weekend as well. I thought his all-round game was really good. He was setting up chances for his teammates, and he got his goal as well, which was really, really impressive. I think his all-round game is just so much better than Richarlison when we're talking about fluid football, when he picks up the ball and does little layoffs and when he's has to run at the defence, and when he has a lot of time to finish, like he did on the weekend, he always finishes it, unlike Richarlison, who it seems as though when he has too much time to think about a finish, more often than not, he'll screw it up. So I think Son needs to start on the weekend, even if Richarlison is fit. I think he has to be our number 9 when fit. If Werner's going to carry on playing like he is, I'll keep it like that and use Richarlison as a superstar. But even though Richarlison has been playing really well and has been scoring lots of goals, I just think we look our best when Son's in that number 9. And I think Son's at his best when he's in that number 9. So if we're going to have our front three playing like they were on the weekend, I would keep it like that for now. But I'm so happy Richarlison has found his form, and I do think he's always had this in him, because I really liked him at Everton. I really wanted him to come to Spurs, and I think this kind of striker who is always in the right place at the right time, scoring those poachers' efforts, has their uses, has their values, and I think Richarlison definitely has his. But I do think Son is the better striker.
Do you feel that no matter what, no matter who we're playing against, Son should be playing number 9?
Do I think no matter what? Do I think no matter what? As long as Son's in form, yeah, I do. I think even against low blocks, I think Son, even though Richarlison's got more of that physical threat, I do think Son's all-round game can make up for it. And I saw Son on the weekend, even against a low block against Palace, was setting up chances inside the box. And that's something that Richarlison struggles to do. Richarlison, though, is going to be a player probably more likely to get on the end of the cross, more likely to be in the right position to maybe score a goal. But with all things being equal, everyone being fully fit and all that, I would still pick Son.
Kate, after hearing all that, any credit going Richarlison's way?
No, I was gonna say what Sim said exactly. I think if it's an instinctive shot, Richarlison normally scores, but the minute he has to think about it, he misses. For me, Tottenham fans, I don't like to say, not all Tottenham fans, but a lot of Tottenham fans are quite happy to accept an average player, and that is what I consider Richarlison to be. I don't think he walks into any top 10 team in the league. I just don't think he does. And so for me, that's why I don't think he's good enough. I think he's great with his heart. I do think he's got the heart of a lion. I love how he pumps up the team. And some games, I can't believe where he is. He's all over the pitch, defending, winning the ball back. And for that, he's brilliant. But as a striker, for me, he's just not good enough. Sorry.
If he got 20 goals, Kate, would that change your mind this season? If he got
20 goals this season, I would be in the summer saying, no, I don't think we should sell him. We should keep hold of him.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's really fair.
You ask him to get 10 goals in the next 12 games.
What about 15?
No. But if he gets 15, I've got to give my husband a £5 because we had a bet.
But you know what it is? I think we know that Son is the best striker at the club. We know that, right? So for me, in the window, in the summer coming up, we need to focus on those wingers. So I don't think that Richarlison needs to be sold, because when you're looking at Son being the first choice number 9, for someone like Richarlison to come in as and when coming off the bench that's capable of getting 10 to 15 goals a season, surely that's a massive value for the team.
Yeah, I get that. I can see that. And his aerial threat, obviously, is different to Sonny's. I mean, my view is I would rather upgrade Richarlison, but if we can't and we are going to keep him, then we need to upgrade the wingers, exactly what you said, because the wingers don't provide enough service, in my opinion. So it's got to be one or the other for me. But, it's just a dream to sort of find another striker that's sort of near a Son's ability, but the striker market at the minute, everybody needs one, and there's just not that many out there that are any good. So
it's a tough market. It's a very tough market.
Yeah.
Okay, if you only had budget to sign one player for over 50 million, you had to choose between a striker and a winger. What are you choosing?
A winger, I think. I am choosing a winger. Yeah,
me
we
as
need
well.
a really good winger.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree. But I think me, Sim, and Kate are both in agreement that Sonny starts in the number 9 this weekend. Amir, where do you sit with it?
Yeah. I don't think there's a question. You go with what's winning and what's working, and Sonny up top's looking great. Richie's obviously coming back from an injury. You stick with what you're doing at the moment. Stick Sonny up top. And you build off the confidence that we gained from beating Palace. And honestly, if you go back to that Villa game, although they nicked the 3 points, right, we could have been 2 or 3, 4 up in that first 20 minutes at that game. So I'm really looking for us to come out the blocks fast. With all due respect to them, they're a great side. I'm not going to, minimize the threat that they hold with the players that they have. But I do think that we shouldn't, we shouldn't pay them too much attention. Focus on our game, go at them. Don't worry too much about what they're doing. And I think we're coming home with 3 points from Villa Park. So
come on, Amir, I love that confidence.
come on. No,
Just
we're
we're going to Villa Park and we're taking 3 points. I love it. Andrew Din with the members chat says first 10 games and started the same settled squad since then with injuries, AFCON, Asia Cup, our lineup has been unsettled. We now have our squad back. And that is 100% spot on. And I think that's really important going into this game this weekend. It's a crunch game in terms of that top four. We're 5 points behind with a game in hand. Villa are, they're a team on form. They're getting their results consistently at the moment. Spurs, a bit hit and miss at the moment, losing to Wolves, coming back and winning against Crystal Palace, which was probably our best performance in a while. But Kate, do you feel like we need to win this game against Aston Villa to have any chance of top four?
I did actually think when Sim sort of mentioned to me that question, I thought, yeah, we've got to win this game. But then I looked at their fixtures and our fixtures, and there's still a lot of football to be played, a lot of games to be played, and they've got a very tough run as well. They've got to go away to Arsenal. I think they've got to go away to City still. But I think it will give the team a massive, massive confidence boost if we can get. I'd like to take all 3 points, obviously, but even a draw. But I mean, we need to win to make a statement that we're back and we want that top four space, and put pressure on Villa. They've got Ajax, I think, Thursday, and then they've got Ajax after as well. So they've got the disadvantage of having Europe. They've got a lot of injuries. Our best friend's a Villa fan. He said they've got about 8 injuries to key players. So, we need to make a statement. Tottenham are being written off again, and Aston Villa, people are saying they're guaranteed to get full spot. The only way to shut them up is to win. So, although I think there's still a lot of games to be played and a lot of points to be won and lost, I think we need that confidence win, and I think Villa will be that. So, yeah, 3 points need to come back.
I totally agree. But if we do lose, and let's say it goes to 8 points with a game in hand, do you think that gap is insurmountable, or do you think it's still not over?
No, I still don't think it's over. If it was a team like, no disrespect to Villa, because I think they've been incredible this year, but if it was a team like Arsenal, I would say 100%. There's no way. But, we've seen this year.
You couldn't have used Man City or Liverpool instead, could you?
Sorry, I'm still got. Do you know what? I watched Arsenal last night and they blew my mind. That's what it is. As much as that makes me feel sick to say it. Or a team like Man City or Liverpool. But do you know what I mean? I think with Villa, they have got the European games. They haven't got the biggest squad in the world. They have got injuries. And we've seen, I think, this Premier League this year, the results have been bonkers at times. Beating teams that you wouldn't expect. Anything can happen. So no, I don't think it's insurmountable, but I do think we really need to win this game.
Amir, are you of the same thinking? Do you feel like we have to go and beat Villa to get top four?
No. I'm with Kate. I think there's a lot of football to be played, to be honest with you, Ben. I just think it's a 6-pointer in terms of it sets the standards for top four. If we go out and win, it's putting our foot on that 4th place there, and that's ours. We're coming for you, Villa. Prepare yourselves for another Europa League or whatever it is, So that for me is the point of the match. It's not a decider, it's not one of those ones, but it's a critical game. And in terms of wanting revenge for what they did to us with the robbery that they pulled, I really want to see us go up there and destroy their Champions League hopes. I'll be really honest with you. We should be in there. We should be hosting those Champions League nights, not them. So let's hope that the boys can go up there and do it. It will be a very, very tough game, though. They're a very, very decent side, and they've got players that can really hurt you. So that defense that we were talking about earlier, they're going to have to be on point, and Basuma will also have to play out of his skin for us to come back with 3 points from there.
Amir, if I offered you a point right now and you can just get out of there with a point and move on, would you take it?
Never.
Love it. Sim, what's your take?
to answer the question directly, do I think we need to win to get top 4? I don't think we need to win. I think a draw would be a fine result. I think it keeps us in a good position. I think a loss would be a bit of a disaster. And I think if that was to go to 8 points with the game in hand, it's getting close to being insurmountable. I wouldn't say it's completely, but it's getting close. And I think it would be really, really detrimental because I think psychologically more than anything, that gap would be massive, not necessarily just because of the games or anything. I just think the psychological effect of Villa having an 8-point gap over us, I think would give them such a massive boost. I think it would give them a bit more freedom to play their football when the pressure is on, and us as well, when we're constantly chasing. It would be difficult psychologically to deal with it, not even so much. I don't think it's insurmountable when you look at the fixtures. I think we could overcome it, but I think it would be a massive psychological blow. But when I look at the fixtures, I think we both of us and Villa have really tough fixtures, but it's not the tough fixture I'm looking at. We've still got the bottom 3 to play. I know they're going to be fine relegation, but Burnley and Sheffield United might be gone soon, and obviously Luton at home. They're in the bottom 3 for a reason. So we've still got the bottom 3 to play.
Last games as well, isn't it? Burnley
last 2 games of Burnley and Sheffield United, Villa have played the bottom 3 already. So they don't have those games to come up. We've still got quite a lot of games against the teams in the bottom half, even though we've got a really hard run in April. And Villa, I think, I was looking at their fixtures, I think only 3 games they've got left are against teams in the bottom half. So they've got a tougher fixture list, even when you account for our April one when we play Newcastle away, Liverpool away, City at home, Arsenal at home. And also, even though we play City, they play City and Arsenal away. We play City and Arsenal at home, and I would bank that we might not lose both those games. We might get a point or win one of those games if we're on our game as well. Villa have been slowing down at home. I've seen that recently quite a lot. I know they got a good win against Forest, but everyone talks about their amazing home form this season and how good they've been. Well, we're only 1 point behind them now in the home table. So that goes to show how much we've caught up with them when it comes to the home form. They've still got European football as well. They're going to play Ajax on Thursday, and we've got no European football. That's going to play its part. When I look at Villa's squad, they're very, very reliant on Watkins keeping fit, and apart from Watkins, it's pretty much him and Bailey who are getting all the getting all the goal contributors at the moment. They're very reliant on those 2 players. Are they going to keep it up playing 2 games a week, just those 2 getting all the goal contributions? I don't know. I'm skeptical about that, to be honest. So for me, we don't need to win. If you offered me a draw, I would say yes, just because I wouldn't want that psychological blow of a loss to hit us, and I do think it could have a detrimental effect. I do think even if we lose, we can overcome it, but it would be very, very difficult. I think if it remains a draw, I still put Tottenham as slight favourites, and obviously if we get a win, that would be marvellous, and I think we become big favourites at that point. So I think it's all to play for come the weekend. I think it's a massive game. It could be a very big in determining who comes in that top 4 spot. But I think a draw would actually be a good result.
I agree. I do also think a draw would be a good result. You know, you keep it with 5 points with a game in hand. Albeit that game in hand is away at Stamford Bridge. Maybe it'll be time for Spurs to put Pochettino's Chelsea job firmly in the mud. It'll be great if we could go to Stamford Bridge and win this year. Albeit I don't know if Pochettino is actually just doing a job for Tottenham still. He might still be on the payroll, to be honest. But
will he be in charge by the time we go to Stamford Bridge? Who knows?
Depends when it is. They haven't scheduled it in yet, but let's hope he is, because I really want to see him on those sidelines when we tonk Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and we owe them one after that game. You know, we were battering them up until those sending off. So we really owe Chelsea a beating. We owe Villa a beating as well, to be honest. And I think we've got it in us to win this weekend. I really do. With Sonny up top, with defensive solidity that we showed on the weekend, and maybe the balance that we had in the team, which looked really good. I feel like we've got it in us, within us, to definitely go to Villa Park and win the game. Having said that, I completely agree with Sim. I think a draw would be a top result to come away from Villa Park with. When you're looking at the fixtures coming up, I do feel like if we can get a draw, again, I agree with Sim that we become favourites for the top 4. But I don't think at this moment in time we are favourites, because I think Villa are probably favourites to win the game this weekend, if anyone's going to win it, especially with the bookies. And I feel right now it's probably, in terms of percentages, like fairly neck and neck who's going to get top 4 between us and Aston Villa. Do you feel like it's the same, Kate? Do you feel it's like kind of neck and neck, or is there a clear favourite for top 4 right now?
No, I think it's neck and neck. I think the fact that Villa have got the European games is going to play a massive part. And as Sim said, if they got an injury to, say, Ollie Watkins, I think their season collapses. I'm not going to lie. So,
is it the same with us with Heung-min Son?
Well, we had 2 months with Son, didn't we?
Yeah, no,
we did.
I don't think it's the same. I think we've got more quality than they have.
Like Richarlison.
Please don't get back on the picking. It's going to be. I can't wait. It's going to be such an interesting game. But like you said, I think we've got the quality to beat them. Would I take a point? Not in a million years. I want to go there and bash them up.
That's what I want to hear, Kate.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Don't want a point.
What's your score prediction, Kate, for the game this weekend?
I'm going to go 3-2 to Spurs.
Oh, and a ding-dong battle at Villa Park, 3-2. I love it. Sim, what are you going to...
I am going to predict Spurs to win. I actually think we could be quite well set up to play a team like Villa, especially if Longley is going to start in the back line as well. So I'm going to go for 3-1.
3-1.
3-1.
I was also thinking 3-1, but I need to go different. I can't go with the same scoreline. So basically I need to go for 2-1 or 4-1. So I'll stick with 2-1. I'll go a bit more reserved. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Spurs. I really think that we can hurt them with their high line, and especially with Heung-min Son in the front line. He's going to be their kryptonite, in my opinion, this weekend. So I'm going to go for 2-1. Amir, what's your score prediction?
I'm going with a crazy 3-2 helter-skelter. And, who's going to get the winner? Kulu's going to get the winner.
Richarlison off the bench, right?
Our ginger from Sweden is going to do the business.
Love it. Absolutely love it. But that does bring an end to the panel. Very positive, all for us, predicting Spurs wins this weekend. Absolutely loving the confidence. But thank you so much to Kate and Amir for coming on today. Especially Kate for the first time on the panel. Amir, returning guest as always appreciated. But Kate, let the people know where they can find you, where they can watch your content.
Over at Just to Go We Love Spurs. I've only been going 7 or 8 months, but I've just hit the 1,000, which is amazing.
Thank
you.
Well done.
I do lunchtime shows every day at 12:30 or 1 o'clock. All about Spurs. I'm going to my first game of the season against Arsenal, actually.
Wow.
Going to the North London derby.
Nice.
Wow.
And I've never been to a North London derby in my life. Even though I've been to Spurs hundreds of times, I've never been to a North London derby, so I cannot wait. But yeah, every lunchtime, catch me over at Just to Go Love Spurs. We get some great guests on. Mickey Hazard is a regular. He comes on quite a lot. We've got Gary Mabbutt coming on. Graham Roberts is scheduled to come on. So yeah, loads happening. So yeah, please come over and say hello.
Well, seeing as it is your first North London derby, I think we'll quickly find out if you're good luck or bad luck, eh?
Yeah, I think so. God. It's not me, it's Jim. It's my husband.
All right, if we lose, it's on Jim. If we win, it's on you. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Amir, where can the people find you, my friend?
People can find me. Well, I'll be in the studio for the watch along for this big game, so you can catch me on in the studio for the watch along. I think I'll be there with Barnaby, and you can also catch me over on Tottenham on tour with Daigle and the gang and the rest of the gang over there. So
big up, where everyone go and subscribe to these two great channels, providing us with some daily Spurs content. But once again, thank you all for coming on. Thank you everyone in the chat for sticking with us for this long hour, but we'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.